What a glorious day for a lot of activities, and especially to come together here to worship. And we are blessed and pleased that you have chosen to be among us and to be a part of our fellowship today. We welcome those who are here in the sanctuary, those who may be watching by DVD at one of the local retirement residences, those who may be watching on YouTube online. We do offer you a welcome and trust that you will sense God's inspiration and blessing through our time together. I would invite you to please stand as we join in our invitation to worship. In a world that can seem frightening and confusing,
we come here for sanctuary.
In a world that can feel empty and shallow,
we come here to encounter the holy.
In a world that can be lonely and unforgiving,
we come here to be loved and to love.
It is good we have come here. Let us worship God. Our opening hymn is number 510. We have this ministry, 510. Let us unite our hearts in a spirit of prayer using the words of our gathering prayer. Let us pray. Loving God, we know that you are always present, ahead to lead us, behind to encourage us, beside to support us, below to uphold us, and above to inspire us. As we gather here for worship, may we allow ourselves to be led, encouraged, supported, upheld, and inspired by your surrounding care. Through Christ. Amen. Once again, we offer words of welcome, especially those who may be visiting family members, and it's always good to have you folks visiting with me. I know she loves to have you, and good to have you with us. And special thanks to Sarah for accompanying on the piano today. Absolutely, thank you, Sarah. Some of you may not know that Sarah often accompanies me in leading worship services in local retirement residences. So I appreciate the many gifts of music that Sarah shares in our congregation. Today Allison is away, and she'll be away next Sunday as well. Today she is leading worship with members of her family at Waterton National Park, which is in southern Alberta on the border with Montana and British Columbia. And if you were here early and watching some of the pictures, you would have seen some photographs from Waterton National Park. It's a very beautiful area, and if you ever get a chance to visit, I'm sure you'd appreciate it. The only downside, I've led worship there many times myself, the only downside of leading worship there is that the front of the sanctuary is a huge peak of glass, and you look out at the mountains, so people don't pay attention to the sermon because they're always looking at the mountains. You don't have that excuse today. So we do trust that Allison will be offering the blessings of her ministry and her music and her gifts in that congregation. I'd like to draw your attention to the announcements, which remind us of the life and ministry of our church. And at this time of year, not quite so many activities, but still a number of things happening. Following worship today, there will not be any refreshments downstairs, but we do invite you to stay and chat with one another. You'll notice during the summer, we do not have the other Spark programs in addition to Sunday worship, but there are activities available. Wednesday, there will be meditation at 6, and Thursday, the music jam at 7. You'll notice our upcoming worship schedule through the summer, and those who will be leading worship, especially during my time of holiday. Camp Awesome starts tomorrow, and we do require a few items for crafts, and if you're able to drop them off to the church either tomorrow or sometime soon next week, that would be great if you haven't done so. Pardon?
Hair dryers are the big thing.
Yeah, they need hair dryers for some kind of craft that they're doing. So if anybody can drop off a hairdryer during the week, if you only wash your hair every other day, drop it off and pick it up after. I'm not even sure which day they need it, but if you have a spare one, that would be great. You will also see during the summer the office hours are not held regularly, but the answer machine is checked daily if there are emergencies that arrive. The cemetery board is anticipating the arrival of the new columbarium this coming week. So next week you may see the columbarium in the cemetery, and you'll be hearing more about that. Some financial update, as well as information about the newly named and transformed magazine of the United Church called Broadview. If you haven't seen it, there are copies available in the upper room and at the back of the church. It's a very well done publication with lots of very interesting articles, and we really do encourage you to take a look at it. And also, there will be this fall a group that's going to be looking at rational mysticism. It'll be a book study and support group, and the inaugural meeting will be held on July 17th. And then in the fall, there will be regular gatherings, and you'll see some information there about that. It's going to be led by James Harley from our congregation. So we do trust that you will take note of all of the announcements that remind you of the life and ministry of our church and allow you to share your gifts and participate in activities where others share their gifts with you. Our next hymn is number 245, and we will remain seated as we sing Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord in the field and forest.
We don't have too many children today, and some of them have gone out. Anybody want to come to the front? No? Okay. Well, Ruth is. All right.
I will.
So this is going to be for everyone. What's something that you're good at doing? What's something you think you're good at doing? Sarah? You're not bad at playing the piano. I would go above that. You're good at playing the piano. Excellent. Someone else. What are you good at? What are you? And maybe even you're not as good as you'd like to be, but you enjoy doing it and you're good at doing it. Alberta or Lynn? I saw a hand back there.
Baking.
Baking. Lynn's great at baking. Audrey.
Exercising.
Exercising. Walking. As some of you know, she just did the Camino in Spain, so she's great at walking. Martin. Painting. Excellent. And she's also good at preparing communion elements, which she did today. So, Alan?
Procrastinating. Procrastinating.
Procrastinating. Excellent. Anybody else? Unless you want to wait and talk. Fern's good at talking. Maureen?
Singing.
Singing. Excellent. So those of you who were courageous enough to say something you're good at, this might not fit for Alex's, I don't know, but did you learn it all on your own, or did you have somebody help you to learn? So I'm going to start with Sarah.
Oh, I had somebody help me, a few teachers.
Absolutely. And Sarah actually teaches piano, so she knows what it's like to pass that on to somebody else. Margaret, in terms of painting,
I went to a lot of workshops.
you went to a lot of workshops and learned from us? Yeah. Al, who did you learn to procrastinate from?
It was self-learned.
Well, some things are. But I think for most of the things in life that we are good at and the things that we enjoy doing, it's not something that we just totally came up with on our own and got good at on our own. We usually had people who helped us along the way. People who taught us, people who encouraged us, people who supported us. Maybe even sometimes people that gave us a nudge when we didn't want to practice or when we didn't want to go for that walk or whatever it was. And so all of us, we tend to take the things that we do and that we like doing for granted and that we do well, and don't often think of how others have helped to shape who we are in so many ways. And all of us need to have mentors. People who lead us and guide us in certain tasks and activities, but also just in life in general. And that's true of our spiritual life as well, that it's important for us to have people to look up to, people to turn to, people to lean on, people who support us, and that we can do that for each other. I often hear people say to me in times of illness or grief or other difficult times that they don't know how people without faith get through it. And I often want to add to that, and without a faith community, without people around you to support you, because our faith in God, I think, is enhanced and strengthened and bolstered by that sense of community and by the people around us that we know are thinking about us and praying for us and holding us in their thoughts and hearts and also encouraging us along the way. And so today we're going to hear a Bible passage about someone who was a mentor for someone else. And that the person who was the mentee, and yes, that's an actual word, a mentee, wouldn't have been able to do what they were able to accomplish without that support and encouragement of the mentor. And so I think that's true for all of us in our lives. And not only that, to remember that we are mentors for each other, and especially we are mentors for the children around us in our church and for the young people to support and encourage them along the way. So may we be reminded that we need each other and that we are called to share our gifts to support and encourage one another. Every Communion Sunday, we have the opportunity to share not only from receiving, the gifts from the communion table, but of sharing our gifts through our community table. And we especially do that through our support of the food bank. And so this time we will be passing the plates around for our reverse offering, which is if you feel so inclined to take something off the offering plate and purchase it and bring it back for the food bank. Or certainly you can feel free to purchase any items that you would like for the food bank, not just those that are listed on the plates that are being passed around. That's one more way in which we offer our support and our encouragement to people within our community. That's it. Well, sure, why don't we pray? And you can say the words after. Dear God, we thank you for all of the people who have supported us in the past and who care for us now. Help us to share our gifts, to be a blessing to others. Amen.